Hello and welcome to the Unique CPA with your host, Randy Crabtree. We're committed to creating a thriving community of accounting professionals who are physically and mentally healthy, fulfilled, and energized by their work. Our ultimate goal is to elevate the reputation of the accounting profession and vastly improve the lives of those in it. The Unique CPA is brought to you by Trimerit, the specialty tax professionals.
Today's guest is John Jordan. John is a small firm owner out of Raleigh, North Carolina, and a fellow member of the Intuit Tax Council. John brings heart and insight to the profession. He's passionate about helping people, connecting with entrepreneurs, and learning what drives them. Through his firm, he offers a full financial platform from accounting and tax prep to planning and controller services, supporting clients on their small business journey. We're diving into industry trends, the real relationship needs in accounting, and yes, even the fun mental health stuff. John, welcome to the Unique CPA.
Oh, thanks for having me, Randy.
All right, John, this will be a lot of fun. It's very fortunate to have met you. Actually, by the time this runs, it'll be 3 years at the Intuit Tax Council meetings where we've built a lot of relationships. I know that's something we're going to talk about today. But before we get into that, let's talk about you and your firm and your journey in the accounting profession, and I guess what led you to starting your firm.
So I started my firm right after we had kids. So it was sort of like a transition period. I'd been at a much larger accounting firm, then I'd been at a regional accounting firm. I was really getting sort of burnt out of working at that size firm, and I really struggled with it on the relationship side because my clients were sort of like my friends. Is how I've sort of viewed them, and I would build these relationships, and then a lot of times either like something would happen in an audit, and maybe someone got fired and didn't come back, or like the turnover. So there's a couple of things that sort of went into me leaving, and really a lot of it had to do with me being a people person, and that just doesn't really fit in a traditional firm.
Yep. And so when you say a traditional firm, then how's your firm different than a traditional firm? What do you base that on?
Well, mainly because I can control who we work with, which is pretty nice. And I know starting out, I probably didn't stay true to what I was doing, but we've definitely done a much better job recently of just working with people that are good people that we want to work with client-wise, that I've had relationships with. It's like our average client is probably 5 to 7 years now at this point. So we don't have a whole lot of turnover. But it just lets me get to know the clients. So it's tough when you lose one, if you have to let one go. But I just really enjoy that side of the business.
Okay, so then from that, so we said at the beginning how important relationships are to you. And that's one reason then you started your firm, because you could build these relationships. Does that ever get in the way of, hey, I've got a great client here. I really love them. I like hanging out with them, but really it's somebody I probably shouldn't be working with anymore because they can't pay the fees that I want to charge, or I'm giving them a discount because I like them so much. How do you balance that? Hey, I want to have a great relationship, but I also need to have this, business relationship too.
Yeah, that is a huge struggle that we've tried to overcome, I guess, probably mainly the past 3 years. So now I don't answer the phone as much. So we have, I call it like a gatekeeper, basically, that goes to an admin or a bookkeeper so they can try to filter out more who gets to talk to me, because I'm sort of the typical accountant who wants to help everybody. So that's really helped. And then also letting the staff have more inputs. Like when we do price increases or at the end of the year when we look at clients, even though it might be a client that I was friends with in college and I have this relationship with, if they're taking too much time, if they're rude to the staff, then we've definitely started to let those go and look at it more of a business. I think that's just the hardest part, is that transition from starting your own business to then actually running it as a business.
Yeah, which is, I like the way you say that, because that is important, because we too often don't look at our accounting firm as a business, because it's just, as you said already, a typical accountant. I just want to help everybody. I mean, that's what we do. We have answers and they need these answers. And so how do we get it to them? Well, we got to be there for them. And unfortunately, sometimes we think we got to be there for them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we get into trouble. So you said then now the last few years, gatekeeper that keeps you out of the way, I assume,
Tries to
somewhat
keep
from.
me out of the way. And it's interesting because like when I started my firm, I'm definitely more of the salesperson. And that's sort of the other issue at like a traditional firm is like as a staff, you just don't get that many opportunities to go out and sell. And even when I was trying to get on boards and do different things and would bring in a new client, I wasn't in control of that process. And so like I didn't always like the way that it was handled. And so I was just didn't really fit, which is sort of interesting because when I started my firm, was never the problem. Like I went from probably making my salary at the end of 9 months or 10 months on my own and then doubled it every year after that. But the problem then became, well, who's going to help me? Like where's the next smart person that's going to come do all the technical work? And I think that is where the industry has sort of been. I mean, even the last it was easier to hire 10 years ago than it is now, but
Yep.
that's definitely been the cap of the firm is basically I've now limited it down to where it's me and a couple staff that can handle everything.
So there's a couple things you said there that I'd like to dig deeper into because you said for you, sales is not a problem. That's not a typical accountant. I think sales is not something I think accountants, even though we in many firms were tasked with that, especially if we want to be partner level. How did sales come so easy to you, or what is it about sales that you enjoy?
It's interesting because most of my family, he still doesn't believe that I'm an accountant. The sales is genetic. Both of my grandfathers were big sales, national company, like head of sales type positions. And so when I went into accounting, they were like, "What in the world is going on?" Because you're a people person, you should not be in accounting. And when I got my master's, I met my wife when I was getting my master's, and they separate you out in the rooms based on your disc and your personality types. And I'm sitting over in the corner with like three other people, and she's over there with 80% of the class and the typical accountant.
Yeah.
And so, so we met a lot because they did some like little groups and they tried to pair you with opposites to like get your teamwork and all that type of stuff. But yeah, so I'm the sales part, the people part. I can talk accounting. I think that's probably the biggest difference is like people will come in and meet with me about taxes and I can explain what they can do, what they can't do, where the gray area is, and sort of get to it, but in like a plain English type thing, whereas their normal accountant or someone who they were using, a lot of times they struggle to understand or get that like interpretation. So that definitely helps me.
And so then right now, are you looking to add more clients? Are you out selling or where are you at? Because you said staff is an issue. It's hard to get staff. How do you balance then that passion for selling and with the ability to do the work?
So my wife and then my sister works for the firm. My wife does not work for the firm. I've tried to trick her into coming to work for me because she is the typical accountant and I could then go do more sales. But my sister works for the firm and they have both put the kibosh on trying to sell any more clients for the past like 2 years. They're like, can we please just like get it down? Let's just take some time off because I was growing just too fast. So, and I see that with even my own clients. Like I have clients that are a lot of times they're sales guys that come start companies and then they start growing and they grow too fast. So it's interesting. It's like one of those what you see is one step back to take two steps forward. And I think right now we're in that process.
Okay, you just mentioned that a lot of your clients are salespeople. Is that like, okay, because from a relationship standpoint, now you mesh with them because you have the sales mindset, they have that sales mindset. Have you ever thought about that? Or is it just the type of businesses you're going after?
I think I think that it is the personalities. Like when they meet a couple different accountants and then they meet me, it's something very different that they probably haven't seen before. And I'm
Right.
not, so I think that part of it is that, I think part of it is I understand their problems a lot of times. And I mean, I also coach my kids' soccer team, and it's like when they're winning 10-0, you're trying not to get them to score. That's like talking to a sales guy and getting him to try to slow down his own business.
Yeah.
So like I understand that because I've been trying to do it. So the conversations are very natural, I think. So I think it is helpful with sales oriented people, where like that CFO, when that person is really more geared towards sales. We don't niche, so I don't have exactly like a type. I mean, we do lots of like professional services with lawyers, engineers, but being my background being in public, like we just saw so much. We did a lot of construction, a lot of professional services. So I had lots of experience across a wide base. We have tried to get rid of certain industries, maybe like stuff that has inventory. We don't do restaurants, which really helps, more so for the staff so that they can see the same things repeatedly over and over again.
Yeah. So let's dig into your business a little bit because I want to get into the relationship side, just in the profession a little bit more. But I want to set the background for the firm a little bit. I think you told us staff-wise, how many people total?
Let's see, we probably have 4 part-time people. Well, we bounce around with like maybe one, like me and another full-time person, and then usually like 2 part-time people. But right now we're probably around 3 part-time, and I'll probably hire another full-time person
Okay.
this summer.
Oh, so you could sell, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to get back into selling it. And I need to merge with someone that really just wants to manage the business and do all the tax returns and tax work.
Oh, believe me, there's a lot of firms out there looking for targets like that to merge in. Okay, so I get interested in this here, how people are running their business. So how about from you said no niche really, but you said a little bit in professional services and that. Don't you do some with technology companies as well?
We do. So being in Raleigh, there's a good number of software startups. So we have several software companies, and every year we usually sometimes we'll take on one, but that takes a lot of my time. So we've tried not to take on as many startups, but yeah, I would say software is definitely something that we've worked with that a lot of accounting firms don't.
Okay, and then how about we talked about relationships? How about from a pricing standpoint with the clients? How are you hourly billing? Are you subscription pricing? Are you value billing? Do you have a set in stone type, or is it a case by case?
We do have a methodology that's like the a value billing. So like our traditional model right now is that when they come in, we're going to do bookkeeping, we do tax planning, sort of like the whole package, and we'll price that out based on their like revenue, transaction volume. I think that there is a lot of like I've been doing that type of pricing for 10 years now, but that's not like the only thing. So like a lot of firms are like, we have to do this one way and we stick to it. I do have like the old traditional like 1040s that we've sort of phased down some and taken just some business clients. So we haven't completely gotten rid of that side of the business, but I would say about 80% of our revenue is probably value billed monthly.
Okay, and monthly. So it paid up front, beginning of the month, end of the month, the beginning of the month.
Yeah, it's at the beginning of the month, and they pay the whole 12 months for their tax returns and everything in that year. So for tax year 2024, they've paid for 2024, even though we're doing the returns in 2025.
Okay, good. It evens out cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
Then I am assuming that's one of the goals. And then I want to get into technology a little bit too, because you're a small firm,
Mm-hmm.
but from a technology standpoint, I feel you're very advanced. I feel like I've heard you talk. I know that there's different things you're looking for from technology that you're not getting, but things that you are. And so from like a tech stack standpoint, is this something that you're looking at all the time? Are you evaluating? Are you seeing if there's anything better? How do you look at your tech stack and how that plays into how you run your business?
I mean, there's a ton of FOMO, fear of missing out. I can tell you that. I'm always looking at different softwares, which is good and bad. But I mean, right when I started my firm, I started with QuickBooks Online. And at that point, I was using QuickBooks Online and Drake because it was just me. And then once we started adding people, then I was looking at different tax softwares. And we ended up going with ProConnect through Intuit, which has been great. I mean, on the small firm side, it's nice because like it's not, you don't have to have hosting, you don't have to have all the IT side if you can stick with your cloud programs. I mean, sure, there's some security and different things that's still a lot to manage, but it's not like you have to have a server and all the laptops. So that's really helped push like with those types of technologies and like more of the updated softwares is just trying to avoid the IT side of it and having to deal with that in addition to everything else.
How about from like a billing standpoint? Is there a specific client relationship billing? What other things I think are integrated? Payroll.
Yeah, so we use, let's see, so we got QuickBooks Online Pro Connect. We use Ignition for our billing and engagement letters. We use Carbon for our practice management and emails. And yeah, payroll is a little bit, we actually have 2 different providers. It sort of depends on what type of company it is and which one will fit them best. But yeah, so it's definitely still all cloud based.
Okay, nice. And when you bring on a new client, is there a requirement that hey, you have to, be on QuickBooks Online or is it just, hey, you'll deal with what they're working with?
It can depend on their size. I would say 99% right now is QuickBooks Online. Like I don't think we have anybody that's not. I know we don't have any desktop. they were big enough, which I think is a separate sort of issue. Like there is times where we've moved them up through QuickBooks Online to a point where it's almost like they need something else. And then that's almost like to where I have a couple of clients now where it's almost like I need to find them a new firm because they're getting too big at their revenue size for me. But luckily we haven't had that problem. But if someone comes in with something like completely different, a lot of times we just tell them it's not going to work.
Right.
It just takes too much.
It's not worth your
It doesn't
time.
fit inside their system. It just takes a lot of time.
Right. Okay. All right. So I just wanted to set the back. Anything I missed on background on the firm that you want to highlight before we jump into relationships and mental health?
No. I think on the background that's probably good. I think we did about 600,000 last year. So yeah, we're definitely on the small firm side.
Yeah, but like you said, you're growing every year, and then you had to throttle it because of.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I think the industry is really that's where it's sort of been heading. I know there's a lot of consolidations with like private equity and different things, but like I feel like the majority of firms now are going in two different directions. They're either all consolidating and getting bigger and bigger, or we end up with these tiny little firms.
Yeah, I think it'll be hard to be in the middle. I think that's just a hard place to be. I think there's a need for the smaller firms for that relationship side of thing, like you're doing. And if you're in the middle, trying to compete with that firm and trying to compete with the consolidating firms, is just because you're trying to probably compete with both ends. That's going to be so difficult to do, especially as we see all this acquisitions, which is nonstop. But honestly, it feels like it's been 30 years, my entire career. It feels like acquisitions have been part of it. But I believe, 30 years. I think it's more like 40 years now. But it feels like it's really, really obviously ramped up now. All right, so at the beginning, I talked about the fact that you and I met at Intuit Tax Council, which about 30 days from right now will be my last day on the tax council. Are you off the council then too?
I am off. Yeah, they gave me an extra year last year, and then they're like, "All right, you got to go for real this time."
We have a big group that we have a lot. We've built some so I want to get into relationships now. So we have built some really strong relationships with people from that tax council. And everybody on the council is good, but we've had this group that's been together for quite a while. And Elnisha Jones and Dawn Brolin and Kristen Keats and Diana Crawford and you and me. And now we let the new guy in, Nick Basha, who I think is the only one that is going to be on the council of that group that relationship we've built. You've talked about how important relationships are for you, and it's not just with your clients, but in the industry. So how do you look at relationships within the industry? And we can even specifically talk about that group that we've formed and how those relationships help you in your business. So in general, how do you look at relationships within the accounting profession?
So yeah, within the profession, I think it's interesting because when I started my own firm, I mean, you really don't have that many resources. I would network or talk with my old firm, some of the partners I was still really good friends with, and people I went to grad school with. But then like I started to meet people either through like some of the Facebook groups and different groups, and so it was sort of interesting, like meeting them and giving people pointers and doing different things, and then meeting them maybe at like a conference and seeing them. But really, our group, like my first year when we were on the council, not you guys hadn't joined yet, and everyone had just rolled off. Basically, what's happening now is like half the group is rolling off.
Okay.
So I didn't have as those relationships. So then once you and Don and Kristen and people were joined like right after that, it was really nice because then like all of a sudden now you've got all these other accountants that you can talk to about things and sort of discuss with. But I think that the other few accountants that I've talked to and like just how the industry's gone, where now we have all these tiny firms, it's just so hard to be a firm by yourself, I think. And I've read and talked to other business owners because I think that's part of the relationship I have with like our client owners is sometimes like I'll be talking to them and they just want to spill everything to me. I mean, one, you're already the accountant, so you already know all the financial stuff, but then so much of it becomes personal. Yep. And I think it's sort of interesting because of how like there's like I've read a lot of different articles on the mental health side, but like how lonely it can be as like the solo business owner. Like so a lot of times like now I'll bring that up to like some business owners. I'm like when we start talking and they start getting into a lot of different details, it's like trying to connect with them. I can bring that up and be like, yeah, I know it's a lot just to be on you. And so I think that's really helped forge some good relationships now with clients.
Yep. And then just in general, just knowing that you have somebody that you can rely on to at least throw a question to. In a group chat we have, there's just so many times that somebody will bring up, hey, I don't know how to do a specific state pass-through entity tax. Has anybody dealt with this? And then all of a sudden somebody chimes in, or I know this person in this industry that has this firm that can help with that. And just like you said, being a small firm and knowing that you have resources and those are built through the relationships are
Yeah, I definitely feel lucky now because like from before, yeah, you sort of feel like isolated. And I think that's what like when I talk to clients, I sort of talk about that. But so like as a firm owner, I think that we go through that basically that exact same thing. And it's sort of like you have to find your network or the other firm owners that you can connect with, maybe about the technical stuff, but also just about like running your own firm and having that group. I think like a lot of like in a traditional firm, you have partners, and so like there's a lot of dynamics that go on there. But I think just having a network of friends and other accounting firm owners that you can bounce stuff off of really makes having your own firm a lot more enjoyable.
Yep. I really am all in on that. All right. So let's talk. The other thing that we mentioned at the beginning is that mental health awareness is an important topic to you. It is a topic that's gaining more traction, I feel, in the profession. And so, for you personally and professionally, why is that an important aspect of running a firm?
I mean, I think that partly because I'm a non-traditional, so like I am this like people person. I'm sitting behind my desk all day, so I think that I have my own struggles with that because it's not my ideal situation. Like I don't want to necessarily be sitting here doing this, but at the
Yep.
same time,
Yep.
I do love helping people. We just came out of busy season, so like I mean, one of my struggles like every year is like I come out of the season where I'm talking and on the phone like basically all day, which I may complain about sometimes, but I really enjoy the people aspect of that. And then it's just like I need some quiet time. I mean, some downtime from the work aspect, but it definitely like I mean, I feel it. Like I sort of feel like I'm lost because I'm like, what happened? Like I don't have those relationships and all the calls that I just got through. So I think I sort of have noticed I struggle with that like every year, right after busy season. I'm sort of like I have that projects or something to keep my mind going.
So that's a little different than probably the way most people see it, because most people are just like, exhausted and burnt out after tax season, and you are craving that relationship side of things still. And so where do you get that? Which I know family's probably a big part of that. I saw just yesterday that what you were out with the kids working on
Uh,
bike riding.
Yeah, we were trying to teach one how to ride his bike. Yeah, I mean, and like this year, like so Easter came right after busy season, so like I actually got to see them do Easter egg hunt and do all the Easter stuff, and I was like, I can't remember the last time that I saw that. I mean, they must have been tiny probably, because I always take that week to work. But yeah, like my mind is sort of exhausted from work, from looking at the spreadsheets and doing all
Yep.
like having to worry and like and do all that type of stuff. But I think the it's sort of like you get to that finish line, but as like as an accountant, like you don't always like. There's no big celebration, so I think that that's the other thing. But more so about being like with a small firm is that there's no big party for you. Usually, it's sort of like, oh, your family is like, okay, now you're back home and you can help me do everything
That's a
that you've
good
been missing
point.
out
I
on for.
never looked at it that way, but it's like it's just a complete drop off. You've got one way of doing things for 3.5 months or whatever, and then
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden you have to integrate into a whole new way of living, and that's a big adjustment. I know for me personally, I mean, I built my firm way too tax heavy, which was a problem, and so, but I couldn't even get back into the swing of things until, you know, after the summer. I just never felt like I was, ready to get back in the office, and part of it was probably just, being out with my friends is what I wanted to do, or my family is what I wanted to do. So from that standpoint, I mean, we mentioned earlier, your, technology's integration pretty well. You probably are more efficient than most firms, but you still have these extra hours. You still are busy. What can we do? What can we change? How can we make this so we don't have this, instant drop off of what we're doing and have to integrate into some new method of living for the next 6 months till we get busy again?
I mean, I think that's what's so this on the technology setting is so interesting because I mean, if you look at like GruntWorks or like so a lot of like the PDF scanning ability, like we've had a lot of this ability for 15, probably 20 years now. and not much has really changed. So I think that that's sort of what everyone is looking for. And like, I haven't gotten too much into the chat GPT and like some of the AI. And so I'm thinking that like a lot of the vendors are going to be bringing that out more and more to sort of see if we're going to get any technology support. 'Cause I know that everyone's scared of them taking our jobs, but really there's such demand for accountants that we don't have to worry about that. It's more so just helping on the technical side so then we can have the relationships with clients is really what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. AI or whatnot should be able to free us up, and technology in general, from just the stuff, the menial tasks that hopefully we can automate, and then you could spend more time on the relationship end. This is going to be a perfect new world for you. It's relationship time.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah.
I haven't cracked the employee hiring side of the business. We get good employees, and I train them, and a lot of times they leave to go start their own firms. I feel like that's either one path, that is what happens, or they're just either they're bouncing around between firms, or they just weren't a good fit. But
Yeah.
part of that's like, well, I can't be mad that they want to go and start their own firm because that's basically what I did.
Right.
So part of it's like, yeah, I mean, if I could help them to do that, and if I could just be consistent and get more people that are like that, that would be good.
Well, now what you have to do, you've got to go and consolidate all those $600,000 firms, and then you can just be the runner of that. And now you've got, the $60 million firm when you put 100 together. I don't know if my math was right there or not, but nope, it's probably 1,000 of those together. I don't know. Do the math.
Yeah. Hey, I'm a people guy. I'm not the math guy. I got to have Excel open.
All right, John. So this is a lot of fun. I got to even know more about you than I knew before, which I think I knew quite a bit, but just hearing the whole story and how you're looking at this from a relationship side, and your personality as a CPA salesperson, which has its own challenges, it sounds like, post-tax season, and trying to build a firm that you're looking for people. But it's I just always love hearing these stories of how people are running their firm and what they're doing different and how they're handling the obstacles that get in the way, which at this point is probably people as much as anything. But as much as I enjoy that, I like to hear more about what people enjoy doing personally outside of work. And so we've been talking about your firm and you and business in general and mental health, but how about personally? What do you enjoy doing when you're not working, when you got time off, when it's not tax season anymore, and all of a sudden you can have some free time? What's your outside of work passions?
I mean, I like sports, and then we spend a ton of time at the beach. So I'll try to get around to playing some golf. We play some tennis with friends. Coach a lot of kids soccer throughout the year. But then, yeah, we spend a lot of time on the boat, going to the beach.
Nice.
A lot of the time.
A lot of family time.
Yeah, a lot of family time to make up for.
Yeah, well, that's good. And maybe we need to schedule a golf outing when we're all together in Denver, because I know Dawn's enjoys the golfing too. I'm not sure who else in our group, but maybe we could do that.
Yeah, that's my goal for this summer, is to get stuff on my schedule so that I don't accidentally end up working.
All right. Well, John, it's been a pleasure. I always enjoyed talking to you. I look forward to seeing you, well, I guess next month in Dallas.
All right. Thanks for having me, Randy.
Thank you for joining us today on the Unique CPA. You can find the show notes for today's episode and learn more about TriMerit at theuniquecpa.com. Remember to subscribe and leave a 5-star rating on your favorite podcasting app. And join us next time for more expertise and insights on the Unique CPA. ProfessionalProductions.net